from arresting bad guys to looking super cool while doing it. Law and Order are on their own dynasty, so just to honor their greatness, I'm going to rank all the spin-offs, and trust me, there were a lot. Of course, I'll be starting with Law and Order Trial by Jury. Just imagine, the famous opening theme of the show starts to play.
Fractured nose, cheekbone, jaw. And we got significant contusions and edema in and around the cerebellum.
The police, who do investigations, and the district attorneys who file criminal charges are two different parts of the criminal justice system that work together to keep the public safe and hold offenders accountable. Here's what those people have had to say. Goosebumps, right? That's how the spin-off starts. Even though the two groups are equal and pretty important to the system, other Law and Order series focus mainly on police investigations. This spin-off tried to make things fair by focusing on criminal trials instead of other parts of the legal system. Each episode was about the preparation and trial of a single criminal case, and the show followed both the prosecution and the defense throughout. Bebe Neuwirth, who has won 2 Emmys, played Tracy Kyber, the head of the murder bureau for the Manhattan DA. She was in charge of a group of lawyers that includes Amy Carlson, Kirk Acevedo, and Jerry Orbach. So it was pretty awesome. While the Trial by Jury was the first Law and Order show to be canceled, it wasn't the worst. Plus, it had super fun cameos from both the SVU and Law and Order teams.
Woman got jumped?
Yeah, it looks like her doorman beat and killed the attacker.
This next spin-off did a little better. Law and Order Los Angeles. This series took place in Los Angeles. Well, duh.
Girl's named Kai, in the right age and weight range. Our girl in the stolen t-shirt picked this one. Kai Ning.
It seemed like a done deal. I mean, the writers did a smart thing. They just moved the old formula from New York to Los Angeles, which is a more complicated place. It wasn't the best, and it wasn't the worst either. I mean, it worked. I can guarantee that even if you just watched an episode at random, you might like it. Detectives Corey Stahl and Skeet Ulrich, lead prosecutors Alfred Molina and Terrence Howard, and supporting actors Megan Boone and Regina Hall first appeared on the show in 2010. The main cast was made up of many well-known actors. After 14 episodes, Boone, Hall, and Ulrich were written out of the show, and Molina's character went from being a prosecutor to an investigator. What's even worse is that the sequencing of the episodes made no sense at all. By the end, poor scheduling and writing ruined the spin-off, and fans were pretty sad because it could have been really good.
Evening, counselor.
Hey, you two got a minute? I got a 314 waiting to plead, but Morales wants a copy of your report on the Senate House shooting. With all the press, he doesn't want to let it hang.
Now, I've got another spin-off that had so much potential. Law and Order True Crime. When you think about how well other true crime shows have done, it's strange that this spin-off failed so miserably.
The Judicial Council should be looking at him. Eric and Lyle have been plagued by bad parents, a bad shrink, and now a bad judge.
If you take the popular Law and Order series and apply it to a famous true crime story and cast a well-known actor in the lead role, you should have a hit, right? Things didn't quite work out for this one-season anthology show. So this series features rich Beverly Hills brothers named Menendez who killed their parents in 1989. Their lawyer, Leslie Abramson, was played by 4-time Emmy Award winner Edie Falco. She was nominated for an award for her role, which is rare for the Law and Order series. Even though the show didn't do well when it first came out, people who are interested in true crime still find it interesting. So while this show had a lot of promise too, it didn't amount to much.
What does this mean?
Oh, it's good, honey. If Weisberg declares a mistrial, I can try to get a deal from the DA.
I understand this has been difficult.
Don't worry though, this next show did. Law and Order Criminal Intent. This was the second spin-off of the original show.
Urban blacks, punk rock stars of the 21st century, not a lot of love.
This neighborhood is amazing. A block walk from my car, I pick up grits with ham.
It was different from the first because it focused more on why criminals did what they did, which explains the name. A lot of fans say it's their favorite spin-off because it gave the genre a new twist. I personally loved this too. During its 10 seasons, the show introduced many detectives, including the legendary Jeff Goldblum. However, Goran and Eames, played by Vincent D'Onofrio and Catherine Irby, were at the center of the show. D'Onofrio brought his dynamic personality to the role, and together with Irby, they made a super amazing team. If you check it out, you'd understand why it's so good. It just hits the right spot, trust me. This next spin-off was pretty great too. Law and Order UK. This spin-off made fans feel like they had taken a trip to another world.
As soon as the shooting started, I don't think she's gonna be a star witness somehow.
It was mostly the same as the OG show, but with a few small changes. It even looks a little different from the American version, but it's still the same police procedural that has fans all over the world. In fact, the episodes from this spin-off even inspired a few episodes for the OG show. The show has a lot of famous British actors, like Bradley Walsh, Jamie Bamber, Ben Daniels, and Harriet Walter. It was pretty cool. Rather than having your generic brash American cops, fans got to see sophisticated English cops working in the UK criminal justice system. It ran for a few seasons before ending in 2014 and showed everyone that the Law & Order format is popular all over the world. This next spin-off did even better than the UK version, Law & Order Organized Crime. In this one, we got to see Detective Elliot Stabler, who left SVU to fight the New York Mafia after a personal tragedy once again.
Ford 1-1 will be appointed for you. Have you understood these rights as I've read them to you? Okay, boy. We'll see.
It's no secret that his personal life has always affected how he approaches cases, but in Organized Crime, it's become much more important. It's different from the other Law & Order shows because it isn't a series of short episodes about how the police work. Instead, each episode adds to the story as a whole. The OG series has had multi-episode plot arcs and characters who come back from time to time, but mostly each season has been the same. They change up the format for this spin-off, and it really paid off. It's no surprise though, because fans absolutely adored Detective Stabler. He really was the best.
These are my personal.
I understand. Let's not make it worse. Okay? Something else. Well, there's nothing we can do. Let them do their job.
Speaking of this, the next spin-off had fans going crazy. Law & Order Special Victims Unit. This was the first spin-off of the OG show, and it may just have surpassed the original as the most famous TV show of all time. It has been on for longer than the first one, and even has more episodes. The way it generated its own fan base was super amazing, and literally no one saw that coming. Based on what the show is about, this is very interesting. In SVU, fans got to look at the murky side of crimes that are caused by sexual attraction. Scandalous, right? The characters are the most interesting part of the series, which is why SVU is so well liked. Detectives Benson and Stabler were fascinating to watch for years as they looked into the worst crimes in the city. After Stabler left the show, Detective Ice-T's Tutuola, Dan Florek's Captain Gregan, and Richard Belzer's Detective John Munch,
and that Hoover had a gay hit squad. All true. But I want to say something to you. I love you and I'm gonna miss you, man. That's what
were added to the series. If you think they look familiar, you're right. Munch first appeared on Homicide: Life on the Street, but has since made cameo appearances in a lot of other series too. The storylines are the most interesting. The crimes that were committed and the criminals who committed them were just the worst, which made the show super popular. So when you want to see the seediest underbelly of crime, this should be your go-to show. Trust me, I say this from experience. Nothing will fascinate you and gross you out at the same time quite like this series can. It's truly the best Law & Order spin-off. There you have it. Every Law & Order spin-off is ranked.